Welcome to tonight's web class. Tonight we are going to be talking about personal accountability. Why you need to hold yourself accountable. I'm Keisha Golder, and I help women define their unique purpose so they can live a life of personal power. I also created the Your Life Purpose Makeover Journey, which I'll talk about a little later on. So tonight we are going to specifically talk about what personal accountability is, the truths about personal accountability, and of course, the benefits of practicing accountability. But before we get into that, let's do a quick recap of our last web class where we talked about beliefs, the types of beliefs, how we can change limiting beliefs, and how growth affects our belief systems. There will be an opportunity towards the end of the presentation for you to ask questions. So just keep in mind the questions that you want to ask and hold on to them until we get to that point. What is personal accountability? It is an ongoing commitment that you make to yourself and what is important to you. It's also accepting that you're in charge of your own actions. Now, I know you're probably thinking, well, why do I need to be accountable? The short answer is you need to be accountable so that you are responsible for your own life. Because when you're not accountable, you allow other people to determine the fate of things that happen in your life. And an example that I can give you that I believe everyone can relate to is an example of a relationship. When we get into relationships, we want the person that we are in this relationship with to commit to us, to be accountable for their actions in regards to the relationship and us. But how can we hold someone else accountable when we're not being accountable to us? So you want them to be accountable and not talk to other people. You want them to be accountable in how they treat you. You want them to be accountable in the things that they say to you. But you don't honor the commitments that you make with yourself. You don't talk to yourself in a way that is going to make you feel good. And anytime you feel like giving up on yourself, you do. Our most important relationship is with ourselves because it teaches other people how we want to be treated. So if we cannot be accountable to ourselves, then we can't expect people to be accountable to us. Now, how can you commit to personal accountability? You commit to personal accountability by waking up every day and consciously making sure that you're taking ownership for your life. You're taking the responsibility by your choices and by removing blocks that are keeping you from getting to where you want to be. And you hold yourself accountable for the results. And so when you make a commitment to yourself, you are going to say, for example, you are going to commit to bettering your health. If you're doing that, you are going to wake up every day and make sure that you are purposely or intentionally doing something that is going to better your health. Now, that could be different things. It may be choosing to eat better, or it may be choosing to exercise regularly. And I know we all have issues with making sure that we are fully committing to those things, especially me. I've actually gotten to the point where I am choosing to better my health through the things that I eat as well as the things that I do. So every day when I wake up, I know I purposely go into my kitchen after I've gotten myself ready and I make sure that I prepare a variety of fruits to take with me to work. So while I'm at work, all I eat is fruit and I just drink water. But when I come home, I eat a meal. But it's not one of those meals where, sometimes we'll go all day and not eat. And then that one meal that we do eat, we just gorge out on. No, I make sure that it is a sensible meal. And I also make sure that I am getting some exercise in. It may not be as much as I want to get in, but I'm making sure that I'm exercising. Now, when you decide that you're going to better your health, you're going to hold yourself accountable by creating whatever regimen that is going to work for you. Now, when you do that, you have to make sure that every day you stick to it. Yes, there may be a day where you forget or something comes up, but you're not going to brush it off and say, oh, I did not do it. You're going to say, I did not do it. And as a result of me not doing it, I feel a little extra sluggish, or I'm not as clear-headed as I have been while I've been doing this regularly. So you take ownership for knowing that you've missed doing your exercise or eating the way that you're supposed to eat. You don't make excuses for missing it. You acknowledge it. You understand how you are feeling because you missed it, and you recommit to not letting it happen again. Now, there are times, and I'm not saying that there aren't times where things come up, and yes, we may miss an exercise session. But if you find out that every day you're allowing something to get in the way of you committing to bettering your health, then you're not holding yourself accountable. You're not honoring that commitment that you made to yourself or your health. And the way that you can honor that, if you notice every day, because you should be working out the same time every day, that is not happening, you could choose to change the time that you exercise. So if you find out that you're having a hard time getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe you want to try to exercise an hour before you go to bed, or maybe directly when you come in from work. There are other ways besides giving up on the commitment that you made to yourself to still honor it and hold yourself accountable. The next thing we are going to talk about is the truth about accountability. Now, these are the things that we need to understand in order to fully practice being accountable. So everyone is going to see these differently, but some of the basic truths are: accountability starts with you. There is no one on the face of this earth that can make you be accountable to yourself. You have to want to do it. You have to show the behavior. You have to be the model of accountability in order for others to even begin to think about being accountable to you. That goes back to the example I talked about as far as relationships. You can't expect a man or a woman to be accountable to you if you don't honor your word to yourself. So you have to take the time and sit down and figure out how you are going to consciously be accountable to yourself every day. And the second truth is, it's not a one-time thing. It's very easy to believe or want to feel that, oh, I can be accountable today, but tomorrow I don't have to be accountable. That's not how it works. Accountability is something that we have to do every single day. And yes, sometimes you get frustrated because everybody else is walking around just doing what they want without any consequences or without any accountability. And it does not feel good to you because you see these people doing these things. But guess what? At the end of the day, they have something You have something that they don't have. And that's a sense of pride. That's a sense of responsibility, because nobody can come in to your world or your space and tell you what it is that you need to do, because you are already doing it. You are already setting the example. You are living the life that you say that you want to have, and you're doing it on your terms. You don't have to wait for somebody to say, okay, well, I think you should paint your walls this color. If you choose to paint your walls, whatever color you choose to paint your walls, that's what you're going to do. You don't have to wait for permission to live. That's really what accountability is about. Doing what you want and taking ownership for what it is that you're doing and what you want. The third truth about accountability is it cannot be delegated. Yes, I know everyone loves to delegate tasks and delegate work, but accountability is not one of those things that I can delegate to someone. My accountability is strictly for me. Your accountability is for you. You do not know what it is that I want deep down inside. Even if I share those things with you, guess what? I'm only sharing the bits and pieces that I want to share. So you don't know the deepest, darkest thoughts in my head. So I can't delegate my accountability to you, and vice versa. And we all have to hold people accountable. That's where accountability partners come in, like coaches or mentors or even friends. But you can't just expect someone to hold you accountable all of the time, and you still don't take the responsibility of being accountable. That goes back to 3, where you are expecting someone, you're delegating it because you're expecting someone else to hold your accountability. That doesn't work like that. And it's not just saying, I need you to hold me accountable. Yes, you want someone else to hold you accountable sometimes because we need that extra push. But are you doing everything in your power to make sure that even before that person comes to you and say, hey, I noticed you said you wanted to do this, but you haven't done it. Why is that? Why are you not doing the things that you committed to? Before that person comes to you, you should have already had that conversation with yourself. And you should already know why you haven't done it. And come up with a plan that will get you back on track to holding yourself accountable for everything that you want to do. Now, what are the benefits of practicing accountability? These, to me, are very important, and they help us in all areas of our life. We get decreased stress when we live a life of personal accountability, because no one can tell you that you are not in control. You are in control for yourself and your moments and the time that you utilize when you are personally accountable. So you're not stressing about someone coming in and saying, I asked you to do this at this time and it wasn't done, and now you're not doing anything. When you're personally accountable, you've done what was asked of you, you've done what it is that you needed to do, and you don't have to worry about it, because not only have you done it, you've given it your best. And nobody can expect anything more from you but your best. It also increases productivity. How many times have you been in a situation on a job or even working in a team with a group of people where you had to wait for someone to delegate tasks to you? Well, when you're personally accountable, you don't have to wait for someone to delegate tasks to you. You know what needs to be done. You know how it needs to be done, and you know the time frame in which it needs to be done. So by the time that person gets around to trying to delegate something to you, it's already done. and it's done in a timely manner, and it's done in the way that it needs to be done. You're not just sitting around wasting time. You're accomplishing things. And the third way that is a benefit, personal accountability is a benefit, is because it builds trust. Personal accountability teaches you how to trust yourself. Before you can even think about trusting someone else, you need to know that you can trust and depend on you. And that's what personal accountability does. Every day that you recommit yourself to your actions and your goals, you are building trust within your subconscious mind to know that when you say something, you are going to follow it through to the end. And so once you build trust with yourself, you can also build trust with other people, because if someone comes to you and say, hey, Keisha, I need you to create a presentation and I need it done by this time and I need it done in this way. And you say, okay, I got you. It'll be done on Monday at 4:00. Because I'm personally accountable to myself, they know that at 4:00 on Monday, they will have the presentation. And they'll have it in the manner that they asked for it. Yes, there may be some things that once we look over it together that need to be changed, but I've honored my word. I've held true to what I said that I was going to do. And overall, we all want to live lives that are less stressed, where we get things done without having to always be under a time crunch. And I don't know about y'all, but I definitely want to be able to trust myself before I'll even venture out to trusting someone else. So now we're going to pause for a second to see if there are any questions. Okay, so since there are no questions, during the next web class, which will be next Thursday at 7:00, we are going to talk about skills, because skills are an important part of our life purpose journey, of life in general. We're going to talk about what they are, how to identify them, and how we can use our skills to help us on our journey to finding our life purpose. I thank you all for coming out and joining me tonight. So let's keep in touch. You can find me on Facebook at Coach Keisha Golder. You can find me at YouTube at Keisha Golder, LinkedIn at Keisha Golder, and of course my website, www.keishagolder.com. As I mentioned earlier, I created the Your Life Purpose Makeover Journey, which is a 3-stage, 9-step program where we dig in deep to figure out why we are holding ourselves back from living in our personal power. We go from knowing who we are in the sense where we are right now to knowing who we are and who we will be when we find our purpose and begin to live it.